you.
Good morning, AC.
Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you. Before Jim Kennedy has our invocation, if anybody could invoke an HDMI cable, we're short one right now. We're hunting, but we'll see if one comes available. If you got one in your car now, give you time to go get it. Jim?
Thank you. I found this invocation on the internet, so I find most things in life. Written by District Governor Chris Offer from District 5040 in Vancouver, BC. I thought it struck me as being a very appropriate invitation. This morning, let us recall when we were invited to join Rotary, we were not asked if you were a Protestant, a Hindu, a Muslim, a Jew, a Catholic, Buddhist, or a Sikh. You were not asked because all religions are welcome in the Rotary family. Please join me in a moment of reflection and thanks with these words. With our friends beside us and no person beneath us, with the bonds of Rotary between us and our worries behind us, with our goals before us and no task beyond us, with a thirst for knowledge and a dream of a polio-free world, we are thankful for our Rotary friends and the meal we're about to share. Please stand. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For all the things that they say and do,
Is the truth, is it fair to all concerned, will it build goodwill and better friendships, will it be beneficial to all concerned.
my Rotary moment really isn't a Rotary moment. Having this invocation in my hand the other night made me think of it. I'm not from here. Some others in this room are not from here. We have different things, different stances. And there are some people in this room whom I will not name, with which I have very different opinions. But notwithstanding all that, when it comes to Rotary business and doing good stuff, that all goes there. And I really appreciate that little Rotary.
We've got our Sergeant Arms report this morning. Paul?
Good morning.
Good morning.
We've got two visiting Rotarians. We've got Hunter Galloway from the Greensboro Club. We've got Brooks Hayworth from Summit. And we've got two visitors. Jim Kennedy has a visitor.
I'll introduce her.
Okay. And Cheryl Davis.
And you say that? This is Adam Kerr. He's an attorney in Greensboro. He does real estate. His parents have Lincoln Kerr. And what is that?
Therapy services.
Therapy services. And his father is a long-time Rotarian.
Welcome, welcome. Chip, you got our birthdays and anniversaries today?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
We're going to celebrate one birthday this week. Mike Slane celebrated his birthday on the 10th, Tuesday. It was a slow week for wedding cake makers. Is that right, Mike? You celebrated birthday?
Yeah, yes, I did.
Okay. Wedding cake makers, it was a slow week there. Ministers, it's just not a lot going on for weddings in the early part of March, so we did not celebrate any anniversaries this week. Rotary anniversaries, I think we had 2 Rotary anniversaries this week. Tom Nelson marks 10 years on the 10 years this year on the 10th, and Mark Reynolds reaches 11 years on the 13th this week. So congratulations, guys.
Well done. I'm going to pass around the card for us all. For everybody knows Emily's out. Emily's mom's service was supposed to have been last Thursday, but because of the weather in Northern Virginia, they moved it today. So you guys would sign. I'll take care of getting that to Emily today. Do we have Mike? Have you talked to Hal? Have you talked to? Do we have a? And does anybody talk to Hal this week?
No, I was out of town this week. I have not talked to him in 1 week.
Anybody else seen? I haven't talked to him in a couple. Talked to Gail in a couple of weeks, so I don't have. Chip?
I talked to Randy Buchanan's brother-in-law again yesterday, and things keep going exceedingly well.
He's had a little bump in the road with some of the chemotherapy, but it's a customized chemotherapy, and he's had very little reaction to it negative. Everything has been very positive. He's been very comfortable. It seems to be going very well. So what was a very bleak situation seems to be brightening up a little bit for Hal. I think that's a good thing. I hope it is. The family seems to think so anyway. Ray Buchanan's a friend of mine, and he is Hal's brother-in-law. So.
Chris, you got anything to say? Fundraiser? Anything yet?
We have a date. We're looking at September 19th. I think most of you guys know that Ralph follows me with the fundraiser, and he and I have agreed that this is going to be a 2-year plan to move the fundraiser to the spring and get it back in May due to some scheduling constraints with the ballpark, which is where we're going back to. We were unable to get it in the spring this year, and frankly, I think there was quite a bit of fundraiser fatigue, and having it in May was probably going to be quite a bit of pressure on the club. But we're getting it to September, and the following year it'll be back to May, and then we hope to keep it in the spring moving forward.
Very good. Steve, any update on Camp Carefree or any other service stuff?
We're heading up to Camp Carefree. Dale and I are heading up tomorrow, actually, to visit, and I say more than likely probably doing some interior painting this time, and then we'll know a lot more.
I'm all for leaving ceiling tiles where they stay.
There's no more
Raccoon.
Yeah.
dermatological.
Chip, you got a report of grants this morning?
Yeah, I have received 6 grants in my office. I received 2 more grant requests, this morning. So I'm going to cut it off at 5 o'clock today. My email will be working, but if anybody else has a grant they'd like to submit, we've got quite a few nice ones, some of the usual suspects, a couple of new ones, but please get those in. We have to cut it off at some point, and I hope everybody's had enough time to do that. So, but anyway, we'll be making a decision here with the Past Presidents Committee in the next week or 2, and then we'll report back to you hopefully by the end of the month. Thank you.
Very good. Do we have any other announcements? Anybody got anything else?
I
Erica.
do. Rotary Youth Leadership, the deadline to get sponsor someone is coming up pretty soon. We have until March 31st to submit interested applicants. The instructions have been updated online, so I'll send that link out again today to you guys so you can have that. But I'm looking for rising juniors and seniors. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Sean, you got any notes on Shadows Day today? Is Sean?
It's today.
What good fortune.
Today.
Anything to add? It's today.
And it'll be over.
That is all.
Okay. Kelly's not here. I was going to ask him for an update on district conference. Do we have, is anything else, anybody have any other information that we need to share this morning?
We just need more people to sign up. It's a great time, and we all know, and we need to go support Packer Kids. So,
I agree.
we had a little flurry early in the week with Kelly's offer, so I hope it'll continue.
Well, did Buster leave anybody? I don't see Bobby. I don't see Buster. Happy Dollars. Oh, obviously not. I will take the Happy Dollars and see if I can come up with something from Grandpa. Yes, sir.
So I don't have to pay $2. This dollar is for participated in the For All program that basically it's a statewide program that the North Carolina Bar Association puts on to have people that otherwise don't necessarily have access to attorneys to call in with a legal question, work the morning shift, and that's when all the cameras are there, so I was on News 2 working that.
Awesome. Thank you.
The good doctor in the rear.
Thought he was an orthodontist.
No, we've got some, I guess, happy news and an opportunity at our office. If any of you have been in, Christy, our front desk person, our schedule coordinator, after many, many years and a miscarriage or two there, has found out that she is pregnant, but she's got an extremely high-risk pregnancy, and so she will no longer be able to have that job. So it's congratulations to her, but if you know somebody who would be a great friendly face and a good schedule coordinator for North Donegal office, pass my name around, please.
I just want to say thanks to Mark and his wife. That they have 4 children and they have not had a kitchen since Tuesday. So three days of hard work.
And thanks, Cooper.
Thanks for shopping truck road.
I waited until I got my airport. No need to come over because I left all my money at the Western Long Hospital.
Then you can sit down.
Wifey had her knee replaced successfully Monday morning, 6 o'clock, with one of John Nossick's surgeons, and 48 hours later, she was at Camden Place, out across I-40. The neat thing about going out to Camden Place is you see the lit up billboard that advertises Rotary. Bless you. And so I got to see on the way out this morning to have coffee with my wife, a picture of a beautiful Rotarian that says banker, wife, mother, fighter of Aaliyah. And on the way back, you see a guy with a similar message. And as I rode from Camden Place to dark over to here, my heart just pumped, thinking about what a privilege it is to share bonds with fellow Rotarians. Doc said about Ann, he said,
Another
Doc. He said, we've been waiting for a long time for this. We've been waiting for a long time for this. We overstood the mark, we waited. She had trouble, she wound up having a pulmonary embolism 6 months ago, and the whole 9 yards. And so day 2, they said day 2 is the roughest. And so we're thinking day 2, we haven't had any difficulty. We almost said, let's go back downstairs and have the other knee replaced also. And so we get out to Camden Place, and she had to take interviews with a physical therapist. And he said, ma'am, let me tell you, nobody has a total knee and breezes through it. But if anybody were going to breeze through it, it'd be you. So I'm just so proud of her.
I've got 3 happy dollars, one each for Chip Person, Erica Parker, and Dan Quinn. Grace and I thank you for your thoughtfulness and generosity.
Yes, sir.
I'm Brooks Hayworth again from Summit. I was president last year and got to serve with the great Bobby Christensen. What an honor that was. I just want to say that what Cousin Mike had to say. He's a conman. I was a conman at one time. My mother anyway. You guys need to go to the district conference. It's a great time, and it's going to be about half the cost of last year's debacle at Grove Park, where it was awful because of the cost. But this year will be great. And I'm a man who worked Roanoke back in my work days. Then it was a sleepy little railroad town. Now it's rocking. So think Greenville, South Carolina. This place is good. So try to go.
Doc.
This is a thank from Donald Dr. Andrews. We had to put down our little furry child. Really, this reminded me of my
I just want to see how many more dollars Emily has.
Eric.
Eric, I just did. I'm sorry, Eric. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Last one.
Is that it?
What?
Chip,
I
sorry.
have one here from our friend Jim Kennedy.
I'm sorry.
That's all. That is all. Just thank you, Jim.
For what?
So, whatever.
I'll take it. Well, Grandpappy didn't leave me any wisdom this morning, but I do recall one time telling the story of the bulletproof vest protecting you from bullets, and the life vest protecting you from drowning, and the sweater vest protecting you from attractive women. I just thought it was me. Well, I think we've gone on long enough and gone through 7 HDMI cables or some iteration of. Jim, you want to introduce it?
Yeah, I'll just stretch out the introduction. This will be about a 20-minute introduction. Last year was the first year that the district started supporting the district cultural scholarships. If you recall, it's $10,000 or up to $10,000 for up to 3 months of language and cultural scholarships. And Ania was our first, so far our only cultural scholar. She attends East Carolina University. Set to graduate in May of 2017, and she has not one, not two, but 3 majors. Neuroscience, psychology, and Hispanic studies. So last summer, Ania, along with some other ECU students, went to University of Granada for a month or 2, and enjoyed that culture and enhanced their language abilities. So it's with great pleasure I introduce Aenia and Amin.
Thank you for having me. First of all, I would like to say this is a very informal presentation, hence my outfit. This is a poncho that was hand knit in the mountains of La Alpujarra. They border Granada. It's about a 40-minute drive from the city. And I have a few items to pass around, which I'll pass around midway. And I have another poncho as well. So if anybody wants to try it on, feel free. It's one size fits all. Okay, my presentation is more about my experiences in Spain and what I've learned and what I've seen. And background, I participated in the program Summer Study Abroad in Granada from May 29th to July 31st, and then from August 1st to August 9th, I traveled around Spain. And I studied Spanish literature, culture, grammar, history, and the language, and I also was fully immersed. I spoke Spanish 95 to 99% of the time. I lived with a local host family, and for my commute to school every day, I walked 40 minutes into the city and 40 minutes back. I didn't ride much vehicles during my time. Minus a traveling around. And the biggest lesson and observation I made was the difference in workplace. In the U.S., there's an emphasis on working 24/7. Hard work is very valued. Life is very rapid, hectic, and you want instant gratification. From going to a doctor and asking for a pill to fix your problem, or just to get that food right that moment. There's not much value on patience or spending time with loved ones, and you can see that more in the generation growing up. But in Spain, the scene was very different. Pace is very relaxed. They have a mandatory siesta, which normally around 1 to 4 p.m. Everybody who works or attends school is required to come home, eat a full meal with their family, relax, have downtime, then older children and adults resume work. And during that time, the streets are shut down. I've walked around there in those streets, it's completely dead. There's nobody's outside. They're either in restaurants or they're. And the working hours in Spain are, if you're over 18, you cannot work more than 9 hours a day. If you're under 18, it's on 6-7 hours a day maximum, which includes training. And at least 12 hours must pass between the end of one working day and the start of the following working day. There's a maximum overtime of, I think it's 80 hours, half a year. Don't quote me on that. Maternity leave is up to 2 years, like in England. And you're not allowed to work more than 6 hours without a mandatory break of at least 1 or 2 hours. So many times shops there set up, you will go maybe from 10 to 1, and then you take a break and you pick up from 5 to 9. That's a typical setup of a shop. There are a few chain shops now. big supermarket chains that do have round-the-clock shifts, but they always end around 10. And this kind of continues on to my last post, but spending more time with loved ones and socializing was very valued there. In America, we can all agree that dinner is considered the most important meal of the day. You want to be together with your family and eat dinner. Over in Spain, it's lunch. This is a big meal. It's a good 4 or 5 course meal that's normally homemade. Or for a special occasion, you'll go eat at a restaurant, which the children and the adults return home to eat, and it lasts a minimum of 1 hour. And I've noticed that with most meals, with the exception of breakfast, which is very grab and go in Spain, the meals are at least 1 hour, which allows you time to slowly eat, to socialize, and to just enjoy the company of others, instead of scarfing at your food. Just savor the experience. Which as a college student, you have to scarf down your food a lot. So it was a nice change. Very nice change. And the structure of the day. In the US, the day begins pretty early, some people as early as 5 a.m. And generally, depending on your age and stage in life, it can end somewhere between 8 p.m. or 3, 4 a.m., depending. Shops generally open on 6, 7 a.m., depending on the shop, and they close maximum 9, unless it's indicated 24/7. And the pace is very rushed, and when you socialize in the streets at night, in the U.S. it's considered quite negatively that, oh, you're going out partying, you're going out drinking. In Spain, it was very different. The day begins later, around 9, 10 a.m., unless it's a cafe, which is normally open at 7, 8 a.m., and then everything closes on 10, 11 p.m., sometimes up to midnight. And over there, I went to a lot of bars. Over there, a bar is considered a cafe here. So if somebody from Spain tells you that to go to a bar, don't freak out. Because it's just a cafe. And the pace is very relaxed, it's time for recreation, and you see people strolling out in the streets leisurely, but the nightlife in Spain was something I truly enjoyed. There are entire families, I've seen newborns up to elderly at 2, 3 in the mornings. The streets are alive, there are people out, they're eating, drinking, socializing, attending events, seeing night shows. It's something I had not seen before in the U.S. And also, in the U.S., especially in the South, we tend to dress very casually. Over there, it's very dressed up. I've seen 7-year-old women walking on the streets in stilettos, 5-inch stilettos. So people, there's a value on dressing up, wearing nice clothes, looking good. And this is where I choose pictures, but another thing that, for studying of traveling abroad, or what I learned was, learn how to step out of your boundaries. Do things that you normally wouldn't do. This picture was taken when I went to Morocco. I took a weekend trip to Morocco. And in Morocco, people think that they're camels. They're not camels. They're andrometers, where single humped camels. So Moroccans actually get pretty offended when you ask them about where the camels. Because they're not camels there. And this is a picture, obviously, me with the camel. Andrometer. It's ingrained in our culture to think of it the same way, but in Spanish they call it dromederos. And we had taken, we stopped by on the road to spend some time with them. This is something I'm normally not a fan of them, but I said, okay, I'm going to step out, I'm going to take a picture, and because I can't live on a farm. So for me, this was different, but I enjoyed it. This is a picture of one of the towns in Morocco, Chef Shawan, and when I took this picture, it reminded me of something you would find in a travel agency's magazine. Because this whole small town was like this, with pale blue, I think that's lime, pale blue and white lime. The doors were that arc-shaped. They're just an idyllic scene, and there were cats and dogs everywhere.
There are Carolina fans all over the world.
There were some people, there were ironically there were people in a group who loved Carolina. They were in heaven there. dancing, and it's a mix of a variety of dances, but originates from the gypsies. And on the left, well, my right, that's a picture of a flamenco dancer. I had attended a flamenco show, and she was gracious enough to meet people outside of the show. It's a very intricate, complex dance that's hard to explain, and they actually teach classes on the dance itself there. So it's hard to explain in a few minutes, but I highly recommend if you go to Spain, check out a flamenco show or Google it. It's very different, but it's in a good way. And on the other side is, I took a hike to the second highest peak on the mainland, and this is midway up. Because you can see there's a bit of a way to go. We never made it fully to the top, but we got pretty close. And that probably, I would say that hike was one of the most nerve-wracking experiences of my life, because I don't like, when you hike a lot of rocks and ridges and creeks, and I'm pretty scared of them. So that was a very nerve-wracking experience, and getting past the rock and knowing that, okay, I'm not going to fall down and die on the spot. Okay. How many of you have seen Indiana Jones? That black rock, I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know which film, was featured in one of the films where the black sand was. And we actually went to the beach, Cabo de las Gatas, beach of the cats, where they have, that's a picture of the black sand, and that's the black rock that's seen in the movie. And on the bottom is Alhambra. That's the palace that the Muslim rulers used to live in Granada, the city where I studied abroad. And that's a view of the palace from below. But it's not only a palace, it's literally a whole royal city inside those walls. So if you ever go there, that's one of the top tourist attractions, but rightfully so. I went there 3 times and I still have a lot to learn. On the top left is the royal palace in Sevilla, which was built in imitation of Alhambra by Emperor Charles V. That's his palace. And on the bottom is a Mediterranean beach. In all the Mediterranean, the beaches are that color. It's a beautiful teal aqua blue. In comparison, the beaches in America look dirty in comparison. The water is so pure and clean and teal. Olive oil is huge in Spain, as Spain is the second most, I think now Spain has surpassed other countries as the top producer of olive oil in the nation. And we went on an olive oil testing, and that's the picture. Different cities in Spain and different regions of Spain had their olive oil, and we were given pieces of bread to dip in the different olive oils to try. They also offered wine tasting as well, which I did not partake in. And on the bottom is the Cathedral of Granada. This is a cathedral where Queen Isabel and King Ferdinand are buried in this cathedral. And there are cathedrals all over Spain. This is probably the 3rd biggest, but this is one of the highlights if you do go to Granada. And on the left is where Isabel and Ferdinand are buried. Right below where the people are circling, there are 2 steps that go down. You can see their tombs. And of course the food. The food there was amazing, I'll say that. Everything was fresh, even the smallest bar you went to, which might be cheap, but the food was so fresh and freshly cooked right before you. They didn't use much chemicals and preservatives because you can tell the food had its own pure taste. And on the left, you see those big yellow things. That is a tortilla española. In Mexican Spanish, tortilla is a type of flatbread. In Spain, it means omelet. And all the omelets are at least this fat. And the tortilla española is filled with potatoes, onions, and green potatoes and onions. And those are the Guinness World Records tortilla españolas. Each weighs about 30 pounds. It's a lot. And this is in Cordoba, where there's a Grand Mosque. It's in a small bar where they serve these And for about €1 or €2, you can buy yourself a slice. But they hold the Guinness World Record of having the largest one. So don't eat all of it at once. It's bad. On the other side, on top, that's where I went to Morocco. That's a traditional Moroccan dish called a tagine, or tagini. I've heard people say tagini in the US. And that was made with chicken and veggies. But you can see the style was, it's a big bowl in the middle, and everybody around you, you share, and you just talk and socialize. And they started their meals, even in Spain, you would have some kind of tea, or some appetizer. Then you'd have your main meal, and you would always end with some kind of sweet or tea. And on the bottom was a type of Spanish rice called paella. That's one of their signature dishes. There are many varieties. What makes it special is the type of rice that's used, and you can add whatever you want to it. I got a vegetarian one, because you can see blocks of tofu in there. But there are many meat-based and seafood-based as well. And now I'm going to start passing on what I have. This is another poncho that I got, if I can get some tied. And this was handmade by a lady in the La Alpujarra, and they're probably around €30 a piece, about. So I'm going to start passing this around here. So if anybody wants to try it on, feel free. Once I spit on.
Put it on, man.
Oh, there you go. Spanish sweater vest, Dan. Come on.
Men wear something similar, just with different colors and patterns, but this is a men and women alike. Like these are both female versions, but they're both basic.
The difference is, Chip, that one attracts the ladies.
This is a fan, like this. And then how open this fan. These are all over. When you go to all over Spain in the summer, you see them selling these everywhere for as cheap as €2 a piece. And I have a collection now. I collected a lot. So start passing this around. And see, this is Sevilla. I got this one in Seville. But they're all different designs, patterns. Some are cloth, some are plastic. I've seen cardboard.
There you go. Yes, that's it.
And if anybody has questions, feel free to ask.
There's a question back in the back.
The hospitals don't take siestas, do they?
Hospitals actually have a similar thing.
Really?
It's not obviously as close because of everything else closes down. The hospitals do have, it's more quiet hours during that time. And they'll admit patients in. It's a modified siesta. But most doctors do it. They have a set of doctors and medical professionals who work during siesta while everybody else gets off.
Consider moving your practice?
Never met.
Was not supposed to bake, but I work in traveling. This is one of the glass lamps I got. Decided to bake on me. I'm not going to pass this one out because it broke, but it's one of the glass lamps I got from in Granada. They have Albaicin, they have Arabic marketplaces. This is one of the lamps I got. And I just decided to bake well. But for shopping, there was a lot to do. And a lot of unique things to buy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, how many of you have heard of the bull races?
Oh, yeah.
It's me.
You go off to that shit.
Corre de los Toros. And this in Ronda is one of the main cities where they originated from. And this is a poster of the bottom half of what a bull runner would wear. And regretfully, I was not able to see the show because I was not in season. Season was September, October. But I got to see where they keep the bulls and learn about it. And while in the U.S. and Western world we think the bull race is very inhumane, over there there's a very cultural significance to them. So most people look beyond the fact that you're racing a bull and look to the meaning behind it. I'll pass this poster around too. As you see on the bottom, this is advertising the races.
You're saying races, did you see Bull 5? Is that the season as well, same season?
Bull fights in Spain, you actually call them bull races.
Oh, okay.
Because you're not actually pitting the bull against, you're not pitting two bulls against each other. The bull runner showing up how well he or she can manage, well generally he. There's been one or two females in history, but normally males. Can manage the bull and show his power over the bull. And have different colored cloaks to indicate different stages. There's 3-4 stages. And the bull does not have to die for the winner to be a winner. The bull can still live. That is all I brought with me. Any questions?
So, question, when you were on the beach over in Grenada, you had the pirate shirt, East Carolina. Did anybody recognize her, or did they think you were like a real pirate? I didn't mean to insinuate that you're not a real pirate.
Yeah, I've really had people recognize ECU surprisingly. Because Granada, for the past 20 years, has a reputation of being the best city to study abroad in Spain. So different ECU and different universities have them. So most people just assumed that we were from a different university. And I actually met somebody in Sevilla who attended ECU. He was an alumni and he was there, I think he was there for the Army. So, because I recognize from his accent that it's like, okay, you're from the South. Where are you from?
Greenville, North Carolina.
He was from Greenville, North Carolina.
How about that? So what's next for you?
Next, well, as of now, I'm focusing on my education. But in 1 or 2 years, I would like to go abroad and do medical service in a Spanish-speaking country. There are 2 or 3 organizations, and if anybody else has suggestions, I'm open.
I think you should seriously consider applying to be a Global Grant Scholar.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, if you send me information, I'll look.
Graduate.
So when you get tired of studying, you're kind of thinking there, and you think back to your trip to Spain, what are the first couple of thoughts that come to your mind that you think about, that you reflect on?
Generally, first, the happy memories come. Walking the streets, looking around, going in the shops, just getting the experience. For me, it's a welcome thought, because when I'm in the middle of studies or middle exams, you're all stressed out. To just go back, it's like transporting yourself in your mind to a tropical vacation. It's a very simple concept. And I do my best to apply the lessons I learned there. Ever since coming back, I've been trying to spend more time on my meals when I can, to enjoy the company of others, to socialize more, and to try to encourage to just slow down and relax, which is something many of us struggle with, but it's very important. It's valuable for mental health because over there, people have lower rates of anxiety and depression. And although times are changing, because a funny study was for preschoolers, 3-4 years old, they asked them, draw a fish. You know what most of the kids drew? A box, a rectangle.
Really?
Thinking, fish fillets. The fast food is on the rise there, unfortunately.
McFish.
Yeah, fish as a rectangle, basically. So this is like, Spain is also changing with westernization and Americanization, and Burger King, McDonald's, fast food is starting to come in. But they still preserved a lot of the traditional values.
How are you going to apply your experiences over there to your the Hispanic people you deal with here?
Well, I normally deal with, I teach through ALMAS, Alcanzamos Las Metas, Let Us Reach Our Goals. It's an organization that teaches English to Latino families. And the majority of people are Mexican descent, but it's important, the fact that I went to Spain, not only did my Spanish improve vastly, but I learned about another culture, another way of thinking. And the way Mexicans think are very similar to the way people in Spain think. And plus, whenever I encounter somebody from Spain, I can see where they're coming from, what they see in Spain, and the cultural shock they experience upon coming to the U.S. And that's why it's important to visit other cultures so you can understand, see the way they live, so you can better teach them, better use examples. And even just teaching the language, there are different words in the dialect of Spain versus the dialect in Mexico. For example, conducir in Spain, Spanish means to drive. Manejar means in the U.S. Tortilla are two different things. If I didn't go to Spain and I didn't learn this, I would not be able to help the people here. And that's why one of my lifetime goals is to travel to more Spanish-speaking countries and exposure different cultures. Yes?
What about your peers in Spain as far as employment? You hear about so much unemployment and lack of futures for young folks in Europe.
Unemployment definitely is a big problem there, as well as due to government issues, and one downside of having a relaxed pace of life is many people don't work as hard. And obviously working hard is a good thing, but you don't want to be at either extreme. And with the economy has been faltering the past couple of years, and with the recent the change of royal families. While I was there was a coronation of Felipe VI, and I saw the coronation on TV, live. And like the 1-2 weeks leading up to the coronation, there were protests in the street. The streets were crowded with people saying they wanted to end the royal family. And they believed the royal family was causing all this financial distress. So while it's still a problem, they are starting to change with the newer generation. So far the people I heard, there were more jobs according to the past couple of years. And more young people getting out of college and school and getting jobs. So I think the future is bright, it just needs a lot of time. And I think the shift in the royal family is beneficial because Felipe VI cares more than his father, Juan Carlos, about employment. Juan Carlos didn't focus much on employment. So this new king and his queen are more focused on helping the people. Has his wife, Leticia, is a commoner. She used to be a journalist before she married. So she's not a royal blood. So people relate to her better, and she's been actively trying to help the people.
Good. Thank you. So thanks for coming today. And I'm sure Rotary will be hearing a lot more. We have a raffle we need you to draw.
Okay, and I have one thing to give you guys too, if I
Thank you.
This is simple.
Thank you so much. All right, well, let's see. We're getting close to the end here. And read the last 3 numbers.
486.
486.